round about the next 45 minutes. Today we're looking at the sort of final individual topic of the Report Designer 2025 webinar series that we've been running. So today we're looking at the introduction to filters. So this is actually session number 7. Obviously these are repeats as well. So if you have missed any of the sessions, remember they are available as recordings, and a link to today's recording will be included on your follow-up email as well. So as I say, I'll be with you for around about 45 minutes today, just myself running the session with you, so do bear with me if you do have any questions today. Right, now, just before we get stuck in, usual bit of housekeeping. You don't need a microphone. If you've got one, it'll be muted. You can't unmute yourself either. That means if you've got any questions for me today, or comments for that matter, pop them in the questions panel. Remember to click send to access the questions panel. If you can't see that currently, you just click the little speech bubble icon. It expands the panel. You'll see that box in the bottom right hand corner. Pop in your question, your comment, click send, otherwise I don't get them. And I'll try and react to them here and there if I can. If not, I'll maybe try and answer some of them at the end, or drop you an email later on if there's anything sort of that we haven't really covered during the session. There is an opportunity to download a copy of today's slides if you are interested. They are available on the follow-up email as well for when we run the badge series. They're not normally available in that way, but when we run a badge series, we do make them that way because they're very popular sessions. The follow-up email will include that link to the slides. It'll include a link to today's recording if you need a bit of a recap. It'll include a link to our live webinars page. That timetable currently runs up to the end of November. Next month, we're running a new webinar series that will be to celebrate International Accounting Day. Some great topics in there, some that are new, some that are almost like adapted a little bit from previous topics we've run. So if you are interested, have a look, see what's interested to you, that you benefit from, and get yourself signed up. Loads of other sessions as well though. There'll also be a link to our recordings page on that email. So watch out for that. It's around about now after we finish. So this is the series we've been running. So if you have missed any of these, remember those recordings are available. The final session, we've got two of the quiz sessions left. There'll be one tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and there's one on Friday at 11. So if you have attended 5 or more of the 7 topics, if you attend the quiz, you will earn that digital badge. And I think we're going to try and turn that round on Friday. So we'll try and get that out quite quickly. Save me getting bombarded with emails saying, where's my badge? So we're going to try and turn that around quickly for you this time. Right, okay, so let's have a look at what we're covering in today's session. Again, like many of the other Report Designer sessions, and most of the webinars I run as well, I like to concentrate on demonstrations, and I like to run them live as well. Sometimes we do use a bit of a video demonstration here and there, but much better if you can see it live. So we're going to start with an introduction, a little bit of background to what we're covering today. We'll run through a demonstration using filters based on text fields, numeric fields, data fields, and possibly if you want to use multiple conditions as well in those filters. And then just right at the end, I'll explain more about the additional support. And if there are any outstanding questions at all, I'm sure there will be, because as I say, it's just myself running the session with you today. Then I'll start trying to pick some of those up. But as I say, do bear with me when you're submitting questions. Right, okay, so let's get stuck in then. So it sounds a little bit repetitive, the introduction to this one, because we sort of cover it in 3 different sessions. Obviously, today's session, we cover the same sort of information in the criteria session, and also session number 1, where we looked at things to think about before you actually start wondering about changes to reports or creating new reports. So the session today is filters, and it's just one of the key 3 options that you have available to limit the information or the data that's included on your report. I'm sure everyone's probably been there where you run the report and think, well, actually, you know, I've got that page and I don't need any of the information on that one. So it's all about limiting the information that gets pulled through onto that report. So as I mentioned, you've got 3 key options. Options before even running the report, highlighting the records that you're after, that you want to be included. So highlighting the customers or the suppliers or the nominal codes or the products and service records that you want to include. You might use a filter, or what used to be termed search many years ago, now called filter. Filters are, if you're still not familiar with them, filters are available in most of your ledgers, so customers, suppliers, the key ledgers where you might want to start filtering out information. So hiding information so that you're only displaying the information that you want to see. And then by doing that, if you then run the report, it'll only base it on those records that are listed. So you might have customers in a particular region. You might want to exclude customers that have a zero balance, products that maybe are in a particular category, or as you'll see in today's session, we could even apply a filter based around location. So there's a number of things you can do to sort of restrict the number of records that are displayed, and then only those records that are displayed will be included on the report. Now, we did pick up on the previous session looking at criteria, so editing the criteria, that runtime option. So when you're running a report, the box that pops up to say sort of what date range do you want to use, or things like that, what sort of customer range or nominal range. We've included that. Right, just bear with me 1 second. Just bear with me 1 second. Just someone that can't see or hear. I'm assuming it's their internet connection. It's the only message I have got on that one, so I'm assuming it's just that one person. So criteria is all about sort of giving you that option when you come to run the report itself. What we're looking at today, though, is building your filter into the report. So having it sort of almost like preset, so it only picks up certain information, so that you're not having to go through and select the records that you want to include. So we're going to preset that. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Remember, if you've missed any of those sessions, those recordings are there. So what we'll do, we're going to get stuck in. So we'll run through a bit of a demonstration, and you can see the various options that you've got available to you. So we're going to start today with, I'm going to look at in a slightly different area. Normally we work on the customer list report, so I did mention that last time. We got a few groans because that tends to be where we concentrate on customer list when we're dealing with reports, but a little bit different today. We're going to work in the products and services area. So I'll quickly share my screen and we'll get stuck in. So we go into products and services, and you can see I'm just using a copy of the demonstration data today. We tend to do that for a lot of the webinars that we run. So just a set of fictitious information that you can access as well. So products and services, pop into reports, going into product details, and it's the product details report I'm going to use in today's session. And if I just preview that, and I'll accept all of the default criteria, and it'll preview the report for me. Let's zoom in so you can see that. Now you'll see there's lots of information per product on there. So it's grouped by product. It shows you the various bits of information. So you've got things like categories and category descriptions, department codes, nominals, sales prices, stock values on order, allocated, etc. So there's lots of information on that report. So there's a mixture of text fields such as the description. You've got numeric fields such as in stock, and you've got date fields such as the date of last sale. So this one here. So you've got quite a mixture on this report. Now let's say for the first example that we're going to run through, let's say I only want to see the products listed that are located in a specific area. Now you've got a location option within your product record, and it lists it on this report as well. So I've got a few on a few different locations set within my software. So I've got warehouse listed. If I scroll down, probably got a few others. We've got some that are flagged as supply direct, and I think links in nicely with coming up to the Christmas theme. We've got workshop as well. So I think it's just 3 that I've got set. I might have some blanks, but those are the ones I'm going to go for. Now, in this case, I'm going to look for, or I want the report only to show those products that are located in the workshop, just as an example. So it's the location field that I want to base that around. Now, I do have a number of options just as normal. I could apply a filter to the main products list. So just go back to the products and services list, and I can apply a filter. But this time I'm going to build it into the report itself. Also, I could even, if I wanted to, because it's the location field itself is actually a variable, I could actually add that as criteria. So when I run the report, I could specify it there and then. But actually what I'm going to do this time around, I'm going to build it into the report itself. So I'm going to apply a filter to the report. And that way I don't need to worry about applying a filter to my products and service records beforehand, or selecting them from the list, or remembering to specify the right criteria at the time of running the report. There's no right or wrong way. It's all down to your specific preference as well. So in this case, with me having 3 different locations, I could even have 3 different reports, 1 for each location. It's just a case of running the appropriate one. Right, anyway, we've got this report previewed at the moment, so I'll just click Edit at the top. It takes us into the report designer. So the design itself, when we go into the report designer, if I zoom in a little bit, you'll see it's pretty much probably what you'd expect design-wise. The layout's pretty much the same as when we previewed it. Obviously, you've got the products listed one after the other. Obviously, instead of the sort of the information, we see things like text boxes, data fields. Remember, if you want to see the difference, how can you tell the difference between a text box or text and a data field? So if I hover over, say category, you can see that's a bit of text. It just puts like that gold sort of box around it. If I hover over the variable itself, I get that little pop-up window. Sometimes it'll say a variable, it might say expression. It just depends what it is. Now the one I'm after is location. So it's in the sort of the middle section there, so the middle of the details. If I just hover over that, we can see it says variable stock.location. So that's the one that's what we're gonna base it on just at this stage. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna pop up to report at the top, into filters, and the basic filter window appears. Now, currently no filter is applied at the moment, so it would go back to me having to select the products that I'm after prior to running the report if I needed that. So we got the basic filter window. Let me set one up. Now the basic sort of structure at this stage is the table. So the table I'm after is the stock. So remember when I hovered over location, it said stock.location. Next is the variable itself, so table variable. And remember what I'm after, it's location. Quite a few on there, so again, I could press, in this case, I could press L, it would jump down. I could start cycling through the ones beginning with L. I'll just scroll down and select it. We then got the operator. So in this case, I'm going to choose equals. And in the last bit in this case is the text field. So I'm looking for products that are essentially where the location is set to workshop. So I'm just going to type that in. Now in this instance, and always a bit tricky sometimes to say whether something should be uppercase or capitalized or whatever. So in this case, it's not case sensitive. in this particular instance. Sometimes, depending what you're working on, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. All I would say is try and be consistent when you're keying things into the records. And it means that, you know, when you come to type in something like this, as long as you're being consistent, then you shouldn't really have any problems. So I'm just going to leave that one line in there. So stock location equals workshop. We'll just OK that. And I'll preview the report using the link at the bottom. So I'll just accept all of the default criteria. And what we can see now, so we're still zoomed in here, we can see in the middle column here, in the location, we've got products. This first one is workshop, the second one is workshop. If I just drag the slider down a little bit, workshop, workshop. So all we should have listed are the ones that are essentially where the location is set to workshop, which is exactly what we've got. Now, let's see what happens to the report if I change the operator. So the operator being where output is equal to. So we'll go back to reports at the top, filter, and we'll just change the operator. So rather than saying equals, we'll say does not equal. And we'll just OK that. Again, preview it at the bottom. OK that criteria. And again, if I zoom in, this time we've got products where their location is set to warehouse. If I scroll down, again, keeping in with that, coming up to Christmas theme, see if I can find one. So we've got supply direct in there as well. So we sort of, I suppose, put it in reverse in that way. Now, sometimes it's easy if you're quite limited in the options that you've got, i.e., I've just got the 3 locations in my case, but other times it might not be as easy in that, and that may be where you need to put multiple filters in there. We'll come on to that a little bit later on. So we'll quickly go back to the design mode. I'll clear that filter. So back into reports, filter. So it's just as easy to almost clear it as it is to add one. So I'll just click clear filter and then just OK that. And again, quickly previewing it. And you should see we're back to where we were. So we got warehouse in there. Again, if I scroll down, you've got supply direct. And if I find one, there's a one there, workshop. So we're back to where we were at the beginning. Now, if we just go back to the first page, you'll see that we've got a couple of products here. Get my mouse to work. Oh, it's a bit too sensitive today. Anyway, we've got a couple of products here that begin in the description. It begins A4. So we got books 001, book 002. The descriptions, they both begin A4. So let's apply a filter to see what products, or maybe what products, including those two, begin with A4. Now, if we just go back to design mode, and if we hover over the relevant data fields, if I zoom in, so we want to base it around this description. So if we just hover over that, you'll see the little box that pops up. It says stock.description. So again, building on what we've learned from the tables and variables session, stock being the table, description being the variable. Right, so back into reports, filters, stock, and what variable we want description. So I just press D this time, you'll see it jumps down. If I keep pressing D, you'll see it sort of cycles through it. So if it's at the end of a table, sometimes you can be scrolling down. It seems like forever. If you're using your cursor keys to move down, it takes even longer. So stock description. This time operator wise, I'm going to do starts with, and then we're going to do A4. So I'm looking for any description that begins A4. So we just OK that. Preview the report. OK that. And you can see we've got product description. These all begin A4. Scroll down a little bit. So you can see all the way down to the bottom, we've got that end of report banner. So we know that's the end. Right, again, let's change the operator again, just to see what options we've got. Yeah, maybe get you thinking about, and this might be when you start thinking, well, actually, what if it just contains A4 somewhere? It might not have A4 in the description. It might have A4 somewhere else. Or you might have A4 when you've coded them. You might have A4 at the end. Anyway, let's go back to report again, into filters. And I'm going to change that operator. And what I'm going to do is I'll just do contains. So contains A4. So it'll have A4 somewhere within the description. So we'll just preview that. OK it. And you can see the ones that begin A4 again. Again, let's zoom in so you can see that. I can hardly see it myself on my laptop. You can see we've got a couple of extra ones this time that have A4 on the end. So we've got those two additional products. So do be careful a little bit with that, sort of with specifically the operator. So starts with, contains, you might find, obviously, if you do contains, it's going to include the ones that begin with A4 as well. Now, one thing I want to quickly point out on this one, if we just go back to the design mode, if we go back to reports and filters, and if I change this to lowercase a, so we got contains A4, just OK that, and preview it, just OK that. And this time I get no data was returned for this report. So this is where we need to be a little bit careful and try to be consistent when we're keying in information in the first place. We just need to be a little bit careful with that one. Sometimes you design reports and it's what seems like the most minor of things that catches you out towards the end. It's just like in that case, it was case sensitive. Now, wildcards can't be used in the basic filter builder, but things like instead you would use things like operators such as starts with, contains instead. However, in the advanced filter builder, which we're not really going into in today's session, you can use things like a wildcard to replace maybe a string of characters. So you've got things like the asterisk, the dollar, or also the question mark as well. You find more information about those if you are interested in it, sort of want to develop your knowledge a bit further on filters. You'll find that information within our help center. Right, let's now have a look at applying a filter based on a numeric field. So still within the same reports, we'll go up to reports, filters, and we'll clear what's there. Again, as you'd expect, we'd be back to all information being included on the report. Now this time, what I'm looking for, I'll just OK that, is I'm going to base it on the quantity in stock. So if I just hover over that where it says in stock, and I hover over quantity in stock, you'll see it's stock.quantity in stock. So that's what we're looking for. So I want to see a list of products that have quantities in stock, basically. I want to exclude those that don't. So we'll go back into reports, filters, choose the stock table again. Again, I can scroll down, or if I just press Q, it'll jump down. Press Q a couple of times. There it is, quantity in stock, that's the one I'm after. And I'm going to choose is greater than. And then I'm just going to leave the value set at 0. Just OK that. Preview the reports. And it should now only show me those products on the report where it has a quantity in stock. Now it's greater than 0. If you're on the professional level and you've enabled allow negative stock, then obviously they'd be excluded from this report as well. So it's only going to identify those that have a positive in-stock value in this instance, because we said is greater than. Obviously, we might go the other way and we might say is equal to 0. So if we quickly go back to the design view, into reports, filters, and I'll do is equal to 0. If we just preview that one, just OK it. And now what we're left with, again, I'll zoom in. We're left with, basically, we've got a list of products now that have nothing in stock. Again, that's the type of filter you could apply just to the products list itself. You might do that then, maybe send the information to Excel. So again, sometimes there's more than one way to crack the same nut. Right, let's do another one. Just go back into the design. Let's base it on a date field this time. So this one here, date last sale, so the very last one. So again, hover over it, tells me it's the stock table, and it's the variable is last sale date. So let's go back to report at the top, into filters, just clear what's there. So staying in the screen, we're going to choose again the stock table. I'll just press L on the keyboard to jump down. Actually, I'll press L a couple of times. Makes it a little bit quicker to get to. And we'll do greater than or equal to. And let's just specify the start of the current year. I'm looking for anything that I've sold within the current calendar year. Let's say the current calendar year of 2025. So we'll just OK that, preview it. And again, it's just the dummy data that I'm working on. So we've got a couple of products that are now listed. Sometimes you just need if you're working in the demonstration data and you think, oh, it's not working, just have a bit of things. So sometimes make sure you've got something that meets the sort of would satisfy the filter that you've applied. Sometimes I'll do it and then, oh, there's nothing coming up. And it's because I'm using the demonstration data, which tends to be like a year, almost like a year behind sometimes when you're using it. But you might want to, reverse that sort of filter. Right, give me a list of products that actually I haven't sold within the current year. So again, you can easily do that. You might be looking to start clearing out and shifting slow moving, or maybe redundant stock that you're just not selling at all. So that's essentially how you can help to identify that by applying filters to your report itself. So we'll quickly do that. Or reports, into filters, and again, I'll do less than or equal to. And basically what it should now give me is all of the other products except those two that I previously identified. given me now a 12-page report based on this set of data that I'm using. You might even do something like a multiple filter as well. So you might do something like where the quantity in stock is below a certain level and the last sale date is prior to the start of the current financial year. That might help you identify. So you're putting multiple lines within or multiple filters. And that's what we're going to look at next, using multiple conditions. So far we've done single conditions only in a filter. Right, let's go back again to design mode. And we'll just reset the filter that's there. So into report, filters. I'll just clear it for the time being. Now we're going to go back to our first filter where we filtered on our product location. And what I'm going to do this time is, if you think about the original filter that we applied, we look for products in either the workshop or the warehouse by excluding options. And that's what we're going to try and do this time. We'll just do multiple lines this time. Right, so in here, we're going to choose stock. Again, we'll choose location. So L, here it is, location. I'll do is equals, we'll do workshop. And then we'll come down to the next line. So this is where we can add multiple conditions. Now, you've got two choices on here. We can choose and, or we can choose or. Now, if you choose and, it means that both conditions must be true to be included on the report. If we choose or, it means that it just needs to meet one of those conditions to be included on the report. Now, in this case, we're going to look for products either in the workshop or the warehouse. So we'll choose or. Obviously, I couldn't do and, otherwise it's not going to find anything. So we'll do a secondary line. Again, I just want to try and keep it simple. We'll do location. Again, so there it is, location equals, and we'll do warehouse. Just okay that. And I'll preview it. Accept the default criteria. And I should have exactly what I'm after at this point. So again, going back to what I keep saying, sometimes there's more than one way to crack the same nut. If I need to search for more than two conditions, sometimes it's a case of reversing it. Depends how many options we have that or results potentially that could be included in the outcome. So if we had, workshop, we might have warehouse 1, warehouse 2, warehouse 3. If we start recording things like aisles and stuff like that, and shelves and things like that, it can get quite complex. And that's where maybe applying a filter beforehand might help. So what we've got is we've got only the products that are located in the warehouse. And if I scroll down, you can see there's one in the workshop there. Continue, got a few more in the workshop. A few more in the warehouse. But it doesn't include the supply direct option, which is the third option that I've got in this set of data. Now, if I just go back to the design mode for a moment, so just to show you or explain why you're needing to be careful when it comes to adding multiple lines. If we just change the middle operator from or to and. So again, we'll be looking where the location is equal to workshop and the location is also equal to warehouse, which that's not possible in this instance. So if I was to set that and preview it, and pretty much as we'd expect, we get the message no data was returned for this report. So both conditions can't be met in this instance. So again, if you're filtering on more than one condition, to help you choose that linking operator, think about whether the result you want is possible. Can something be both things at the same time or not? Sometimes, depending what you're looking for, it can be a little bit confusing at first. But it's a bit of an obvious tip as well, but it does catch loads of people out. So watch out for it. If in doubt, try both of them and see which works. Now, if your filter does require more than two conditions, so obviously we've used both of them, both lines there. So if you require more than the two conditions, then it must be done within the advanced filter area, which I'm not covering in today's webinar. If you do need more information about the advanced filter, you want to, again, take your knowledge that stage further. It's just an introductory session today, but if you are wanting to advance your knowledge just that bit further, then do check out our help center. So that basically, it concludes sort of the demonstrations for today. So loads of supporting information available for you if you are wanting to sort of develop your knowledge just that bit further. If you'd like to see something specifically maybe included in our webinars going forward, do let us know. Remember that survey will pop up as you leave. So if you want to sort of, well, I'd like to develop my knowledge a little bit further, we're always looking at report design and what could we offer that we get loads of people attending. Once you start getting into the niche advanced areas, the numbers for attending a webinar like that, they fall dramatically. So we may have sparked your interest. Generally, the detailed information, as I say, it's in the help center should you need it. Now remember, if you are designing reports, I'll just quickly go back to my desktop again just for a moment. If you are designing reports and you're doing file save as, and as you can see, when you've designed layouts or you've amended layouts, maybe you've designed reports, back them up. I can never stress that one enough. Get them backed up. Really easy. All you're going to do is when you go to file, backup, they are listed, the options. I would always say, unless it's maybe a year-end backup, I would say back up your reports separately. Take a report files only backup. If you designed your own invoice layouts, statements, etc., then do a layouts only backup. And it means that if you need to, let's say you amend your layout or you delete it or someone else does, or for whatever reason the file goes missing, then you can always get that back by restoring a layouts only backup or a reports only backup. And that doesn't affect your data then either. So it means that you're back up and running very, very quickly with the minimal or the most minimal possible amount of upheaval. So do cover your back a little bit. They're quick and easy to take. If I was backing up, say I amended some reports myself, if I want to back up my reports only, I'll just give it a five, make sure I only tick that box. I'll just call it Sage Reports. I'll just pop it on my desktop. I'll just OK that. It does give us a warning saying you've not included any data as part of this backup, but that's fine. Yes, I want to continue. Let it run through. Obviously, there's hundreds of reports in your software, so just let it run. Tells me it's been successful, and that's it. I've got myself covered at that point. Do the same for your layouts. Do a layouts only backup. Please don't be the person that contacts our support team and says, "Oh, I've moved PCs and I've only transferred my data across. That's all I've got. That's all I've got it backed up. And the other PC that where my data was previously, that's gone." If that's the case, if you do have it, you would just restore your layouts only backup. So layouts and reports aren't included in a backup by default. Back them up separately. Right, if you've got any final questions, been quite quiet on the quiets front and please on the questions front, I should say. If you've got any questions or you think of any afterwards, get in touch. You can always email them in. Just reply to any of the webinar emails. They'll come direct to myself. Sometimes people go away to think about it. Oh, actually, could I use it for that? And they like to email in afterwards. And if we know, we'll just drop you a quick answer. If not, we can always check for you or even test it for you. Right, I've got a question from Annabelle. I'll pick that up in a minute, Annabelle. Quite an interesting question, that one. And there's a few different options for you. So I'll read the question out in a moment, just so everyone knows what I'm talking about. And then I'll try and give you an answer to that one. Right, okay. So before we pick up on questions, remember, loads of webinars. Do check out the webinars list. Our next badging series is starts the second week of November. It will be to do with helping to celebrate International Accounting Day. So we're covering, but I'll quickly share my screen and I'll show you what we're covering. Just bring up my browser. Wrong link there. So let me get to the right one. So you'll have a direct link to this on your follow-up. If you haven't signed up for the quiz yet, there's one, as I say, there's one tomorrow at 2 and there's one at Friday at 11. Remember, if you attend at least a minimum of 5 of the 7 topics, plus one of the quiz sessions, you will earn that digital badge. But in November, these are the sessions that we're running. Fewer sessions this time, so fewer topics, just to celebrate International Accounting Day. And these are all targeted at sort of helping it streamline or automate some of your processes. So if you've never looked at it before, bank feeds, really good for downloading transactions, bringing them into your software, creating them there and then, your transactions for your software, or just matching them against your existing ones. So really, it's a slicker way of doing your bank reconciliation. Copilot, a lot of you will have heard about that. Some of you may be using it. It's just starting, really, people are just starting to adopt it now. But it's been around for a little while now. So we do run regular webinars on that one. As part of International Accounting Day webinar series, we're looking specifically at the automated payment reminders, so that you're not having to do that manually. You're just setting up your criteria. So if something's about to be due, or maybe it's a certain number of days overdue, which you can set that criteria, you can say, right, I want you to when it hits that sort of mark, I want you to email out to the customer. It'll advise them and maybe attach a copy of their invoice, etc. to it, just to remind them they need to make a payment. We're looking at Sage Connect. Now, not many people use Sage Connect. It's a great resource, Sage Connect. It enables you to host your invoices online. Now, via that, you can send a secure, what term a magic link to your customers. And it would that link would be valid for, I think it's 30 days. And using that link, they can access their account online. They can download those invoices. So if you think about those questions you get, those repetitive queries, oh, I'm at my month end, I need a copy of that invoice. Via Sage Connect, they can just access that online and they can download it. So all secure. But again, if you want to find out more about Sage Connect, come along. And there'll be a good demo of that one as well. AI document capture. Again, it's all about streamlining the process for entering transactions into your software. AI document capture is all about using a scanned copy or an image of the likes of a purchase invoice or purchase credit. It might be attached to an email, it might be a photograph, it might be a PDF document. So via AI document capture, it can read that information. There may be times where, yeah, you need to fill in a little bit of information, but otherwise, it will enable you to post that into your accounts. So again, if you want to find out more about that one, come along. 2 opportunities to attend that one. And then, as usual, which we have to do on these badging series, we have to test your knowledge. So again, 2 opportunities to attend that one as well. Bit of an unusual time for one of those, 1:30. It's on a Friday as well. So just testing the water a little bit with a few little tweak to the times here and there. So we got some sessions at 10, one at 1:30. Generally, it's normally 11 o'clock or 2 p.m. So we'll see how that goes. But get yourself signed up. We've got loads of other sessions as well. Batch changes we're covering tomorrow. You've got the main core pilots. You've got VAT returns, year ends, bank feeds in a bit more detail. Tips and tricks to customize your software. Laura will take you through that one. Transaction attachments, importing, adding text. Hopefully you know how to do that one anyway now if you've attended the report design sessions. But again, if you maybe just want a bit of a reminder, adding text to your, like if your invoice layout, might be a festive message, bank details, payment terms, and could be anything really. Come along, we'll cover that one. Remote data access. So we've reintroduced that session. We're not quite there yet with the bad weather, but it's probably just round the corner. We've had a great summer, which probably means we're going to have a rotten winter. So if there's opportunities where maybe people do need to work from home for whatever reason, they can't get into the office, get that set up in advance, make sure it's available. And then it does mean that people, either yourself or your colleagues, can then link into the Sage accounts from home. So you'll find out what it's all about on that session. Importing records, again, transaction attachments, loads of different options. So if you are interested, have a look at that. The link's included on your follow-up email, and do get yourself registered. Remember, if you can't attend, recordings are available. Right, brings us to the end of the webinar. So I'm going to pick up on Annabelle's question in just a moment, but if you're about to leave, many thanks for coming along. There will be that little survey pop up. It's the same one every single time, I know. But if you can take a minute just to pop some thoughts on the webinar onto that survey, or if there's any topics, etc., that you'd like to see going forward. If you've got a burning desire to learn about, I don't know, in-depth advanced filters, etc., or expressions, do let me know, pop it on there, and we'll see if we can cater for that one going forward. Always open to ideas. So if you can take that minute, that would be great. Again, your follow-up email containing the recording of today's session, the link to our live sessions, so you can get yourself registered, and also a link to our recordings page. They will be included on that follow-up email, which you'll get in round about an hour's time. Now, I've got one question outstanding. It's from Annabelle. Annabelle was just asking, when you create a report, is it only available to the creator? And if it is, how do you share it with all of the others of your Sage database? Right, let's see if I can sort of attempt to answer this one. Let me switch back to my screen. Right, so as you well know, Sage is currently, it's desktop software, so it needs to be installed locally on your PC. And within Sage, if I go into settings and then company preferences, just quickly pop in my password. So settings, company preferences, I've got a reporting tab at the top. And we've got this little tick box here, use data path for reports. Now it's not ticked by default. Now, when we've looked at invoice layouts are located wherever your data files are located. So if you've got your data stored on a server somewhere, your layouts would be stored on a server. Now, there will be a copy of the reports stored on your server as well. However, with reports, you will also have a local copy. So on my PC, I'll have a copy of all of the reports that we've got available. And that would be the same for each user of Sage. So if by default, if you design a report, because this option isn't ticked, what it will do, it will save the report to your local reports folder. So it'll save it to your hard disk. Now, what that would mean is that only you can see that. However, if I tick this checkbox, use data path for reports, and I went to view a report, it would use the copy of the report from the server, so wherever the data is held. And if I edited it and saved it, it would save it on the server. So anything I do or anything I view is looking at the reports on the data path if I've got this ticked. Now, this setting is specific to my PC. So let's say Matt was on his PC and he was linked into the data. Matt wouldn't have this ticked by default. So again, he'd be looking at local reports. But if he did tick it, he'd then be looking at the reports that are held on the server. So if I made a change to a report, he would then see that as well. But by default, it's not ticked. Now, if we didn't tick that, the other option we do have, so I'm just looking at my local reports, is what I could do is I could just take a backup of my reports. I could do that reports only backup. I could give that to Matt, say, right, restore that into your Sage. It's a reports only backup, and then it would restore them to his local PC. But again, if I made any further changes to reports, I'd need to repeat that process. So it's really all dependent on whether you use this or not. It gets a bit more complex again if you use remote data access. And also if you've got multiple companies as well. So it can complicate matters a bit more. So generally speaking, just to answer your question, Annabelle, when you create a report, you mentioned there, is it only available to the creator? So by default, yes, that is the case. But if you've ticked this box, I'll just remind you where the setting is as well. It's settings, company preferences. Just ask me to pop my password in again. And then within company preferences, it's on the reporting tab, and it's this option here, use data path reports. So if I tick that before I start editing reports or anything, it means that it'll save the changes to the reports on the server where your data is held. And it just means for everyone else to access that, they would need to tick the box in their Sage as well. Carol, you mentioned there, if you back up the reports, will this overwrite the other reports they have set on their PC? Only if it's the same file name. If you've called it something different, then no. It's not going to. Again, the majority of your reports are just standard file names, and you can't amend those at all. So the only thing that will be any different is, let's say I'm working on my PC, I design a report, and I call it report 1, and I save that as a, let's say I save it to the products and services folder, the my products and services folder. So if I then give that, back up all my reports and give that to Matt, and let's say he's done the same and he's designed a completely different one, but he's also called it report 1, then potentially, yes, it would overwrite it, but it's not going to get rid of anything else. But if you give it this sort of specific file name, then you should be okay, as long as it's unique. I hope that makes sense. Obviously, files potentially could be copied manually as well. So if I knew what my report was called, I think if I got one in custom, I'll have one in transactions. So if I go into reports and go into my transaction reports, I've got a few here. So you can see I've got one called report. I think it was it yesterday? It's called report. File name is report 2010-2025. So if I needed to, I could just open my PC and I could try and browse to that. So let's see if I can find it. Be in my Sage folder, accounts. Going into reports, and then transactions, my transaction reports, and I've got my reports in here. So just because me looking for that one there, And I could even, if you know where to copy it from and to, then I could even, let's say I want to give this report only to Matt. He's working on his PC. I could just email that across to him, send him on Teams or whatever, and say, right, you need to copy that into the My Transaction Reports folder. So you can do it manually. It will recognize it if needed. If you become unstuck at all, just get in touch with our support team and they'll guide you through that process. They can check your settings to see where reports are, where they're held, and where you need to copy it to. They'll give you a bit of advice on that. Right, okay, apologies for the slight overrun. But again, we'll end the webinar just at that point. Many thanks for coming along. I hope you've enjoyed the series. Hopefully I'll see you on the quiz sessions. Remember, it's at either 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, or there's one on Friday at 11 if you want to come along, test your knowledge and earn that digital badge. But otherwise, hopefully I'll see you on some other webinars soon as well. Many thanks.